So, as of recently, I've been playing a lot of Garden Warfare 2. I thought, there are some very fun characters and interesting characters in the game. I thought a good way I could choose them all is by ranking them, putting them in a list. You've definitely seen many before, and definitely many of Garden Warfare 2. So I thought, what's a character that I play a ton, that I enjoy, that I'm willing to actually play every single variant of the character? And just in case you're wondering, yeah, that's right. It is the one and only All-Star. I ain't doing Chomper, screw that. So what I did, I promoted every single All-Star so I had a good amount of knowledge of how each one played and how they differed. So here's the list of how I put them in. So this list will be ranked from worst to best, and the first one coming up, which is the worst, may have a little controversy, but I think it's the baseballer. Its perk says that it has a higher fast rate than more All-Stars, but if you wanted to go for an All-Star with a high fast rate, you'll just play as the Hockey Star instead. And you still have to get used to the arc despite the higher faster rate, so it does get a little bit tedious at times. And going over the footage that I have, and for what I remember as playing as this character, he didn't seem all that oppressive. Most of the kills I got as this All-Star was mostly by the impot and tuck kills, which don't count towards the character itself. So that's why I'm putting him as the lowest tier of All-Star. Also, by criticizing how it goes visually, his character design, it's definitely not the best All-Star. It does have some style in there, but it doesn't have the classic one shoulder being ripped apart and being able to see the armor underneath, so I am deducting some points in thought because of that. But his default cosmetics of his headset does look pretty cool, so I will give him to that, but he's still the worst All-Star. Next up on the All-Star is the Cricket Star. It's a shame that I had to put this character so low, even though all All-Stars are pretty good regardless. There's definitely worse characters in the game, like every single Chomper, but his fire ability doesn't get much usage because he's an All-Star. It's meant for his high rate of fire, and when you add fire damage to that, it does help. It does put in a little bit of extra ticks of damage, but in the long run during a fight, it doesn't affect that much. It definitely annoys the enemy team with fire damage, but any fire character can do that. And it does reduce his damage output and DPS, which also isn't as good. But if you choose to main this character out of all the other All-Stars, it's definitely not a bad thing. He definitely can get some kills and dominate a lobby if you're good enough with him. Also, visually speaking, it doesn't make much sense to make a cricket character be the fire character, but it does work well when put together. He definitely has the best weapon out of all the All-Stars visually. Next up on the All-Star list, we have Wrestling Star. Not gonna lie, when I was playing this character, I thought I would put him higher since it was actually very fun to play this character. His ability has it so he has a slower fire rate than the average All-Star, but he has more damaging projectiles, which in theory sounds almost kinda average. But testing out, it was a very fun character to play, and his visual character design also looked very cool as well. It's definitely not the worst looking All-Star there is, and I thought he actually did pretty well, but overlooking the clips that I have of him, I'm not sure if I just got bad matches, or, I was just playing bad that day, but it wasn't really that all good of an All-Star. Personally, I would have ranked him harder, but depending on how his performance was, I'm gonna have to sadly rate him lower. And next up, we have the Golf Star. I personally think that this one goes down below just because of my performance on him. If you have really good tracking as an All-Star, then this could be a very, very good top tier All-Star. But personally, because I don't have that good aim as an All-Star or tracking, despite being a heavy main in TF2, I wasn't all that good with him. But definitely if you are good at an All-Star, this would definitely be a top pick for you because he has a higher accuracy and higher rate of fire, which from mid-range to long range is very good, and depending on how good your tracking is close range, he can also be very good and excel at that too. Also, he has one of the better visual designs of the All-Stars as well. I say that for a lot of them, but as this ramps up more and more, that means more and more as it goes on. It looks very smooth, very sleek, and it's still like a very basic design that goes well, especially with his Tam O'Shanter hat. Now we're up to the point of the list where no matter how good or skilled you are a player, this is a good all-star to play. And starting off on this part, we have Reg All-Star. Personally, I thought this guy would have gone a little bit lower on this list, but upon playing him, I realized that it's actually a pretty good character. He has decent amount of DPS, each projectile does a fair amount of damage, and you know, definitely has the best visual design. The other designs that you'll see higher up on this list is good, but it definitely can't beat the classic style of Reg All-Star. This is also where I realized I have to take in consideration that throughout the time that I spent promoting all these characters, I have gotten better at All-Star, since I have two separate clips of me being bad and me being very good at All-Star. So that's why he's going round about mid-average. Speaking in terms of like an A, B, C, D tier list, he would go in either a very mid B tier or a very high C tier. Definitely good All-Star. That's why people main him. Next up on the list, we have Moto X Star. I thought this guy would do a lot worse since he just seemed like a more gimmicky version of Reg All-Star, but upon playing him, he is actually very good. His Dirt Devastator, which dirts plants, are very good against any player who loves ability spamming, aka Pea Shooter, Roses, and sometimes and often Corns. Against batting those type of combatants, it is very useful, but overall, not counting in the amount of dirt he does, and the fact that is over a long period of time shooting is basically a discount freeze character, he has pretty good high DPS as well. That's why I put him on this list here. Sadly, some footage got corrupted, so you'll see some of the footage here is looping over. I wish I could have gotten more footage of this guy, but you know, me talking about it is enough to say how good of a character I think he is. Oh, I wasn't really expecting to put Tennis Star this high, but upon looking at the footage of this, that little boost to movement speed that this character gets as its little perk is actually a lot more useful than you think with an All-Star, because All-Star's main gimmick is that he has high DPS, but he is a slow person and it takes time to get, you know, to a location or to the battle. But with this guy's increased movement speed, and if you upgrade him to the point of getting the movement speed upgrade, he can basically go to any battle very easily. He can keep up with his rest of the team, which, you know, makes him a huge team player, makes him a huge threat on the battlefield. And when I was playing this character, it seemed a lot more easier to kill enemies with, despite having a average amount of attack speed and about an average amount of damage per projectile as well. But still, I'm putting this guy higher up because I think it's pretty good. As you can see from this guy's level in the bottom left being max rank, I used to main this character before making this video because I understood as a high DPS character, having ice would be pretty good. It'd be terrible if there was an ice corn. That's why I played this character tons, and I always thought this guy would be the best due to his ability as an ice character, but it isn't. I wish I could have put this guy as in the top, but having looked at the other All-Stars and experienced how they play like and their play styles, he isn't as high. But enough about that. The character design of this guy is cool, the goalie style. Kind of looking like a certain serial killer from a certain camp. And his ice ability does have extreme help in battle, both freezing completely and slowing down enemies. It doesn't have the best DPS, but it's definitely enough to mow down plants if they don't see you, or if you have high enough health. So that's why he is in this position. Also, because he is an ice character and can freeze enemies completely, if you really feel like being an annoyance to the entire server and losing all your friends, you can shoot a plant to the point where they are completely frozen and just kick an imp punt at them. That's guaranteed to have people not scream at you in voice chat for being a crappy player or to cheese a character. It was a hard decision between these last few All-Stars, but I've decided to put Hockey Star here as the second best All-Star. I understand that some people would say he is the best because he has an extremely high amount of DPS. When I was playing him, I understood him, I got tons of vanquishes at him, and understood how he played. and also helps for players who don't want to calculate any sort of drop and just shoot directly at a character. And visually, this guy isn't really the best. His gun might look cool, due to the fact of being a hockey player, but you know, every single other All-Star does that, and you can't be regular All-Stars looks. But comparatively speaking, he is very good. He is definitely a very good DPS character. He can kill enemies easily if they're unaware, or if they don't have the proper reaction time to deal with you. And that's why so many people main this character. Some of you might have put this character higher up, and I respect that opinion. And to be honest, you might be right about putting him higher up in there. But because I'm not that amazing of a player, that's why he's down there. If you're definitely good at All-Star, you could very easily dominate an entire server and wins the game instantly at him if you're really good at it. But initially when I first saw this guy, I thought he was a toxic character, which for an All-Star would be pretty weird now that I think about it. But if you're looking for a good All-Star competitively, and you have really good tracking and aim at All-Star, this is definitely the one go-to All-Star you need to go to. Yep, that's right. The All-Star I put as the best All-Star, in my opinion, is the Rugby Star. I don't know why, but the explosive damage and slow rate of fire does give the fun factor of the wrestling style, but due to the amount of splash that it has, while small, is very effective, and I very much enjoyed playing this as character. During this match that you saw here, which is one of the matches I play as this character, I got the Vanquish Streak Master in it, which compared to every single other All-Star at the time I was playing, I did not. And plus, the sounds, the visual design of this character, and even the skins and combos you can do with this character, as you can see right now, are all very good, very cool looking, very good. You know, there's no other words you can really say about him. If you have any other opinions of who the best All-Star is, you're welcome to say it, but I'm still going to think that the Rugby Star is the best All-Star you can play. And, for some odd reason, I also discovered the fact that there are specific kinds of pea shooters that do not like this. For example, Pogo Peas, Agent Peas, Commando Peas, Electro Peas, and on the off chance if you're lucky, a Torchwood. I don't know why these characters hate the Rugby Star so much, but they're glad to inform me in the voice chat of how much they love this character and how much of a fun character he is to go up against, despite the fact of me thinking that he doesn't get much appreciation as a character and isn't overpowered. Whoa, hey, that's all the All-Stars done. Well, that's the end of this video. If you have any opinions or any changes you would make to the list, feel free to say them whatever you want in the comment. And if you made it to this end, you might as well like, subscribe, and comment what I should do in the next ranking video if you want. I've learned a lot while playing as the All-Stars that I didn't even know before. So, say a character you would like me to try and all play, promote, and rank next. Be enjoyable to do something like the Soldier, or Engineer, or Sunflower, or Cacti. God forbid I do the Chomper. Oh god, Jesus Christ. If any of you say Chomper, I am going to ignore it.